quiet rural community was already carrying the weight of two missing children when, in January 2026, police made a sudden arrest that sent shockwaves across Nova Scotia. Daniel Martell was taken into custody and charged with sexual assault, and forcible confinement. Serious allegations that immediately reignited public attention on a case many feared was growing cold. The timing was impossible to ignore. And before we go any further, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you can get first-hand updates on this story and others as new developments unfold. The January 2026 arrest did not happen in isolation. It came months after 5-year-old Lily Sullivan and her younger brother, 3-year-old Jack Sullivan, vanished from their rural Nova Scotia home on May 2, 2025. Their disappearance triggered one of the largest coordinated search efforts the region had seen in years. Volunteers combed dense wooded areas. Search and rescue teams used drones and tracking dogs. Officers from across the province joined the operation. Yet despite the intense effort, the children were not found, and the mystery surrounding what happened inside that home deepened. When authorities announced Martell's arrest, they were careful to clarify a critical detail. The charges involved an adult and were officially unrelated to the disappearance of Lily and Jack. Law enforcement emphasized that the alleged victim in the January case was not one of the missing children. Still, in the court of public opinion, separation on paper did little to ease suspicion. For many observers, the fact that the charges surfaced months after the children vanished and involved someone connected to the household raised difficult questions. Police statements stressed that the charges stemmed from a separate complaint. Investigators said they had gathered sufficient evidence to proceed, leading to the formal accusations of sexual assault, and forcible confinement. These are not minor claims. Sexual assault charges suggest alleged non-consensual sexual conduct. Assault implies physical harm or the threat of it. Forcible confinement involves restraining someone against their will. Each carries serious legal consequences if proven in court. But authorities also reminded the public that charges are allegations, not convictions. Martell, like anyone accused of a crime, is presumed innocent unless proven guilty. That distinction became even more important as previously sealed court documents began to surface. Unsealed records revealed prior domestic conflict allegations within the home, claims of heated arguments and troubling behavior that painted a more complicated picture of the household environment. According to filings, the children's mother had previously reported incidents in which she was allegedly blocked from leaving during disputes. She described situations involving physical restraint and the confiscation of her phone. These statements were documented in court records, but officials emphasized they were recorded allegations, not judicial findings of guilt. Legal experts note that family court filings often contain competing claims made during emotional disputes. Such documents can reflect one party's account without a final determination by a judge. In this case, the unsealed records added context but did not establish criminal liability. Still, for a public searching for answers, the disclosures intensified scrutiny. The timeline also drew renewed attention. Daniel Martell was reportedly the last adult known to have seen Lily and Jack before they disappeared. That fact alone placed him under a harsh spotlight from the beginning. Both adults in the household, authorities said, voluntarily submitted to early polygraph examinations and reportedly passed. While polygraphs are not typically admissible in court due to questions about reliability, they are sometimes used during investigations to assess cooperation and guide questioning. Passing such tests does not clear someone definitively, but it can influence investigative direction. Yet months later, the January 2026 arrest altered the narrative. It followed a media interview Martell had given earlier that month, during which he addressed public suspicion and maintained his innocence regarding the children's disappearance. The contrast between that interview and the subsequent arrest fueled intense public reaction. Social media platforms filled with speculation. Some questioned whether warning signs had been missed. Others urged restraint, cautioning against conflating separate legal matters. Through it all, law enforcement maintained a firm line. The January charges involve an adult complainant and are not directly connected to Lily and Jack's disappearance. Investigators continue to treat the children's case as an active missing persons investigation. Search efforts have scaled back from their initial intensity, but tips are still being reviewed. Officers say they remain committed to uncovering what happened on May 2, 2025. The broader implications of this case reach beyond one household. Child welfare advocates point to the unsealed allegations of domestic conflict as a reminder of the complex challenges faced by families in crisis. Homes with vulnerable children require timely intervention when credible concerns arise. Yet intervention systems often operate within strict legal thresholds. Authorities must balance respecting family autonomy with protecting potential victims. That balance can leave gaps that only become visible after tragedy strikes. Community members in rural Nova Scotia continue to live with uncertainty. Yellow ribbons once tied to mailboxes have faded. Posters bearing Lily and Jack's smiling faces remain tacked to bulletin boards. The emotional toll is undeniable. For neighbors who join search parties, for extended family members who still wait for answers, and for residents who lock their doors a little earlier at night, the case lingers. As court proceedings move forward on the January charges, the legal process will determine the facts in that matter. Meanwhile, the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan remains unresolved. Two young children left their home nearly a year ago and have not been seen since. That is the central truth that continues to haunt this story. In the end, this case underscores how fragile the sense of safety inside a home can be. Allegations, whether proven or not, reveal tensions that sometimes remain hidden until they surface in court records. Investigations can move in different directions at once, and public perception can shift with each new headline. But amid the legal complexities and online debates, the focus must remain on what matters most: finding out what happened to Lily and Jack and ensuring that every child grows up in a safe, protected environment. The charges announced in January 2026 may be legally separate, but they have undeniably reshaped the conversation. They have forced deeper examination of intervention systems, investigative timelines, and the responsibilities shared by families and institutions alike. As this story continues to unfold, one thing is certain: the search for truth is far from over, and the impact of these events will be felt in Nova Scotia for years to come.